Hey, hey.
Hey Ken, how you doing? Did you steal Charlie Brown's pumpkin?
I'm just trying to get in the Thanksgiving mood.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a
some
little bit.
cranberries, some pumpkin, a pie there.
That's
That's
right. It's a little challenging with everything that's going on, isn't it?
that is true. We're not exactly sure. My son and his daughter are his wife are supposed to host, but they're not sure they're comfortable with that. And so we'll see what happens. My mother-in-law is flying in though. She's determined to do that. So we'll see what happens with that. So
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do as well. My son wants to
mhm.
come in from St. Louis, but he's pretty freaked out by the whole pandemic getting worse and
Okay.
wants to protect himself as much as he can.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys had lots of your clients want to mask up and everything or do more virtual stuff? How's it working for you guys?
Um, Current clients seem to be okay where they're at. New clients are asking often upfront whether or not we're seeing folks live or whether we're doing virtual. So
Mm-hmm.
I only, for the new clients, I'm only doing virtual.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but the ones that's been coming for a while, I can't expect them to, oh, we're going to go virtual now.
Right. Gotcha.
how about you, Kent?
I have been, I still see everyone face to face for the most part. I have a couple people on the phone, but that's mainly because they live way up north and they don't want to drive down. But my seats are far enough apart where we can social distance. I kind of keep a fan going to keep the air moving and stuff. So if they want to, we do. If they don't want to, we don't.
Yeah. About what percentage of your folks are you seeing live in contrast to virtual?
About 98% would be live right now.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting that folks, even with this pandemic getting worse, folks, the majority of folks still want to sit with a live person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys hear me?
Hi, Deb. I can't hear you. Yes.
You can? Okay. Just checking because my computer, I always have to yell into it, scream into it.
Okay.
So,
You're in Franklin, right? In Franklin office?
Franklin, it's the Franklin office.
Mm-hmm.
You got Wi-Fi there.
Oh, Norma, I had to tell you about that. I forgot. I use my hot box.
Yeah.
So, yeah. When we were talking about it. So,
Oh, okay. So you got something to help get that happen, make that happen.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do a check-in. Why don't everybody take an opportunity to just let us know how you're doing today and this week, and then just make a statement about one thing that one statement about TheraNest, something that you like or something that you're still confused about. And we'll round up those questions, and between Kent and everybody else, we'll try to get them answered.
Okay. You want me to go first, Dave?
Sure, Deb, go ahead.
Okay. I'm overwhelmed with everything. Holidays, clients, TheraNest. So I'm overwhelmed. And I'm old, so don't say a word, Kent. Don't
Not
say a
me.
word.
Not me.
Yeah. So with the TheraNest, okay, so far I know how to put clients in and on their calendar, but that's all I've tried yet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I've got to learn all the rest of it.
Okay.
Chris has joined us too there, Dave. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes. Chris, you're welcome to check in with the rest of us.
Hey, how are you guys?
Okay.
Good.
Doing all right.
We don't see you, Chris.
Yeah, I got my camera off. Sorry about that. I can pop it on for you if you want. There we go. How's that?
Okay.
How's everybody doing? Up and the phone's falling. Look at that. I'm liking a lot of TheraNest right now. I like that it's going to basically converge a lot of systems down. I think that is wonderful for this place. But I think the big questions. I actually have a list of questions, but the list of questions is basically they all kind of go down to procedural stuff. So I think just trying to figure out, make sure all of our ducks are in a row, like intake stuff. What all do we want to send out? There's several different questionnaires that we might want to send out. Do we want to send those out all the time? Kind of various things like that. But overall, I think the system is good. And as for me, overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed. But I think all that's expected, so we'll be fine.
Thanks, Chris. It's great having you aboard.
Thanks.
I can go next. Can everybody hear me? Okay. First of all, Dave, I sent Dan a link for the session, for the Zoom session, but I don't know, he's not on here, so maybe you can send him the link again.
Yeah.
If that's possible, just in case. But I'm doing okay, nothing new. As far as TheraNest goes, it's okay. It's a little confusing for me right now because with the other place that I work at, we use Dr. Chrono, and so I'm getting so I'm learning that at the same time I'm learning TheraNest, and I'm getting a little confused. Yeah. So, but it was I processed a payment yesterday, which was really kind of cool. That worked out nicely.
Here.
Yeah, with TheraNest, I processed a payment, which was good.
Nice.
But I'm used to a color-coded calendar, and I don't think we can do that in TheraNest. And so, is that true, Kent? Hi, by the way.
You can change the color to be the predominant color. What we do here is, because we have different locations, we have an Outlook calendar that is color-coded. And so you can reserve different places that way. But you're right, on this one, you can set different locations where the appointments or the sessions are at. But for changing the colors, I don't believe that's a possibility.
Okay, yeah. I just think if there's different colors, it's easier when other people are looking at my calendar too, to see, like the days that I'm out or when I leave for the day and stuff like that. But yeah, no, so my confusion is just primarily learning two different systems and not confusing the two.
Okay.
You're losing weight.
Are you talking to me or Kent?
You.
No, I've put on a couple of pounds, but thank you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I like brownies too much lately.
Sounds good.
Oh, and hi, Debbie. Did you get my last email response?
Not the last email. Well,
Okay.
I have checked. I've been going 50 miles an hour, so, but thank you. Joanne.
Just basically because it's a court order, you need to talk to them. An ROI would be good if you can get it, but it doesn't, but the order trumps the ROI.
The order trumps the what?
ROI.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So even if they won't give you one, you still have to do what the order says.
Okay. Thank you.
Sean, are you there? Entered awful quiet there.
Yes. Okay, I'll go. Hey, Kent. How's it going?
Hey, going good. How are you doing?
I'm Doing all right. You know the drill. You know the internship drill.
I do know the internship drill.
Yeah. Except I don't think you had a pandemic and had schools going back to all online when you were probably here.
No, I just drove back and forth to Cincinnati twice.
Oh, that'd be a nice drive, actually.
Yeah, it is. It's a really peaceful drive for the most part.
Yeah. So TheraNest, right now in theory it's awesome. Right now in practice it's like what? And not because it's hard to understand. I think it's just we don't have a lot of stuff in place on how we're handling things. So, what are we doing as far as mental health exams, and because those are different and there's different information, and when clients are signing things and they're like confidential things, we're not keeping folders, so we've got this paperwork that's just going in our mailbox right now, which obviously isn't locked or whatever. So we kind of have a little bit of a mess happening. I know it's a transition, but so a lot of those questions I think need to be answered.
What we do is whatever paperwork that the client actually fills out, we scan in and you can drop it into the general documents portion, and then it stays, and we just destroy the original document. Because we are all set up where we're all in different places. So there isn't that centralized, we do have a centralized office, but I never go there. And so we just do it that way and handle it that way. And for me, and this is the thing that's been the best part about having that type of service for me, is I don't have to keep track of all the paper. As Norma and the office staff used to be able to tell you, that is like my Achilles heel. If you gave me one piece of paper, I would lose it. But all the other pieces, but now just scan it and send it and put it up there, and it's always there. I can't lose it. I don't ever get caught without it. And another thing that I really enjoy is that I can do a lot of the work from my home office, because I don't have that limitation of not being able to transfer the paper file with me. And so I just take my notes, put the stuff in, and destroy the notes. And it's for me, it's really been good. And it's also really good for the people who, like Norma right now, is still doing my supervision. Even though I have more hours than I need until the group I'm with, they want me to keep in supervision until I actually get the actual, form back from the state that says I'm really a real counselor. Having her go over that stuff, that extra set of eyes that she can do easily, and she can actually understand what I've written. One of the things that would happen when like Christine would share people with me, and I know she has beautiful handwriting, but I can't read it. The way it's so, it was always hard for me to interpret what other people had said, and truthfully interpret what I had said. I'd started using Note Designer to do all my stuff where it was printed out so that I could, but this has been, other people can actually understand what I've said, and when I go back and look at it, I can understand what I've said. So those types of things, just the simplicity of not having to store little pieces of paper over and over again and being able to find things very quickly has been very helpful for me.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that Chris has discovered how to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
To a form that you need to be a part of the record on TheraNest. Chris knows how to add that to a client's record on TheraNest. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, I can show you guys that. It's actually pretty easy to just kind of drag and drop. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. I'll be more than happy to kind of show you how to do that.
One of the things that we get to do too, TheraNest just added on where the therapists themselves can directly invite people and choose what documents they want to receive when they send it. So like you were talking about before, Chris, whoever's sending it can decide, you guys can decide what documents you want, and you can even add your own documents. Here there are two different intakes you're able to use. One that's set up, we have a lot of people on staff who are at CCU. So they've got one that looks exactly like that. And then there's an abbreviated form, the one that I'm using until I get caught up with all the people that I'm working with. And you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to use, along with having the things that they've got there. And so you really can tailor it to each individual client as you're sending those original documents out.
Are you talking about through the client portal, Kent?
Yeah, through the client portal.
Okay.
So that when you send, go ahead.
I was just saying, I just recently kind of got access to that. So I've been looking through there, trying to see exactly what all is available. So,
And
not really up the verse on that yet, but
yeah. So when you send that invitation to them to join the portal and to do all the other paperwork, which I also appreciate that people really can do the paperwork and I can look at it before they ever come into the office. That's really helpful instead of just getting the intake handed to you when you're there and trying to catch up with it. You know, those minutes right before I can review all their stuff. What is really good is that when you send that invitation, you can checkbox the things that you want them to receive. And there's always, you know, you set up the things automatically that you want to, but say you want to give them a survey about depression or something else before they come in, you can send that to them. And then before they get there, you can already look and see what their numbers are and what they're viewing themselves. And you can add those things as you deem necessary.
I have a question about that, Kent. That you're talking about that detailed page that a client, the demographic information of a client.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you said that you can send it to them.
Right. What it is they can fill it out online before they come into office, and then when it's there, it's in their little folder already.
How do you send? I mean, how do you
When
send?
you send the invitation, it's
Yeah,
all
I mean-
part of that packet
Yeah.
they get.
So a client calls in, and Chris answers or Haley
Mhm.
answers, and they want to see a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
their new client. Okay, so they set them up with a particular therapist,
Mhm.
and then Chris and Haley and others would send an invitation to the client's email to.
Right. That's the way it works. That's how they get access to that portal. So that's the way it goes. Once you have their email address, you can send that, then they can connect to it, and you know they can do their own scheduling, they can pay their bill, they can do all sorts of stuff on that portal.
Okay, of course they're not allowed on the record or any of the progress notes.
Yeah, they don't get any of that stuff.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
they just get that stuff that we want them to have.
I don't know if Chris or what did Chris? You know, were you aware of that?
we just got access to that portion. So I just started looking at it today. I see where the client portal is, where you can invite them to that. I mean, like I said, a lot of my issues right now are like logistics. We just need to create procedures with this whole new thing. You know, when you add a new client in, you need to make sure to have an email address so that you can then send the invitation in. And then once we have all those logistic stuff taken care of, it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's just right now kind of converting everything over from 3 systems over to 1 system is where I think we're having some of the issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and did Dave leave?
No, I'm here.
Oh,
Can I ask a question about the patient portal?
Mhm.
Is there a way to use the patient portal to do the telehealth video?
What you do with that, it's not so much the portal. When you set up a telehealth session, there's a link there that you click to use, and that's also the link that you use to send them the invitation. So you can actually do it right from the calendar. You just go to the calendar, click the button, and the little telehealth video pulls up.
Yeah, the telehealth portion of TheraNest is an additional charge for every single therapist, intern, and coach. So we're not adding that component right now. We're we're just going to stick with the way that we've been doing virtual sessions for now.
Okay.
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 I haven't, are we just taking questions for Kit right now?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, yeah.
I like being the center of attention, so it works out well.
The intake form, and maybe, Chris, you got this all figured out, but intake form, the Kenosha Center intake form, we all know what that is.
Mhm.
And if you don't, here it is. I covered up the client's name, but there's information on that intake form. They have to sign consent for treatment, and they have to sign to acknowledge that we're going to communicate with their insurance company, and also the notice of privacy service practices, that they received a copy of it. They have to sign it or initial that they've done that, and also agreement to the cancellation policies. I know you understand what I'm saying, Dave and Kent, and just all that information on the intake form, and that they sign it. Particularly well, it's all important what's on this intake form, but particularly the client signing to consent for treatment. How does 5 Point do that, or TheraNest? How do you do that through 5 Point?
Well, it is on TheraNest. You put your agreement in there, and it's just like, almost when you think of a box, like if you were doing a PDF or JavaScript, there's a little box so you can sign in, and it's just the information and then a place where you can sign, and it does that for each spot, because we have, a spot where if it's okay for the therapist to communicate you through text, you have to get a signature for that, or consent to treat a minor. All those things can get put on there that same way. And it's kind of long when you look at it all on screen, but each one of those places has a place to sign it. And then when it's signed, they don't have to put a date each time, because when the document's done, it dates the whole thing for you. So it takes it that way.
Yeah, to add in on that, Norma, ours is currently set up right now to send a notice of privacy practice, informed consent for psychotherapy, standard intake questionnaire, and a telehealth treatment consent. There's a couple other forms on there as well. One I think we should probably go ahead and add to it is the credit card payment consent. But we can take a look at that and decide what we want to have in those intake forms that get sent. I think that would be a good thing to talk about. Just which forms you want. Is there any form that we might need to add on here that we might want to start including in there, or something that we might need to edit? I think that's something that we here probably need to discuss and decide if any of that needs to be changed. That's actually one of my questions on here.
Yeah, Chris, if you could send me a copy of all of our intake paperwork in editable format, and then I will look at TheraNest copies of same and do some editing. Let me know, other folks as well as Chris, things that you feel like we might need to add to our intake paperwork.
Okay, Dave, do you want us to go ahead and use the intake forms on TheraNest right now, or do you want us to wait until we've approved them all?
I don't mind if you scan in our intake forms and add them to the intake paperwork on TheraNest as is, but I know that they need to be, we haven't edited those documents for a while now, and I want us to take a look at them, and I'd like for feedback from the rest of you, as well as you, Chris, about things that you feel like we might need to add to the intake paperwork.
Right.
So
what I've been suggesting to people do right now is just do the intakes as normal and then scan and drop them into the client documents section until we've approved, because I don't want to send out like a notice of privacy practice or something that is not necessarily up to date. That's just, the standard default one in TheraNest. If you want to start using the default ones, we can, but I just kind of don't want to send out any form that's not up to par right now.
That sounds fine. Let's make a deadline for next Friday to have those forms updated and ready to go.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Mountain Dew, man after my own heart.
It's past coffee time, so it's Mountain Dew time.
Deb would agree with that.
Oh, yes. I've got mine right here.
Ooh, Freddies. Deb, you're bringing me some Freddies, right?
Yes, yes.
Hillbilly
Debbie,
champagne.
did you know that?
That has become my favorite place because they have Mountain Dews and,
Right.
other things I eat.
Did you, Debbie?
I
Did
gave
you
up
get to cash in on the Circle K 15-cent drink day the other day?
No.
Yeah, you could get their extra largest for 15 cents. It was, instead of 79 cents, it was like the anniversary of when their Polar Pop thing started, and so everything was 15 cents. I was there fairly often that day.
That's great.
Hey, you guys, in the Zoom chat, Dan put in a really good question. Could we create a flow chart? Is there, I like that. Is that a possibility? And Dan, if I'm misunderstanding, like a chart as to where we go from, and Dan, tell me if you were thinking of something different, like a flow chart from, kind of start, like, because you can do the mental health assessment within TheraNest. You don't have to have it written out and scanned in anymore.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about, Dan? By
Yeah,
the way,
I was
how are you
thinking of-
doing, Dan?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking about one of those if then go to sort of computer basic language. If this is a call, then go to this. It would help us to understand what all to put into the client portal. This is very similar to what I've been exposed to in Simple Practice. And what's really beautiful about it is if you get front loaded all the information, it's just a matter of hitting a couple of buttons. All the consents are there and available, including consent for credit card. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think we should move forward with the client unless they're willing to submit a credit card, because I'm really done with the little machine. I think we're all done with the little machine. It's not necessary. With the clients I have up at Touchstone, all the information is front loaded and we never have to do anything other than invoice for a session.
Yeah, I think the transition looks a little bit different right now, Dan, because I'm asking most of the associates to enter in active clients and to bring all that data into TheraNest as they add each client. But ultimately, that job will fall to the front office staff, and they can be expected then to get credit card information, email address, phone number, address, and all that jazz.
Okay.
And then you'll just be responsible for logging into the portal and checking the intake paperwork, see what you have. What I'm hoping is that this can save time in the assessment sessions. Let me know, Kent, if you found that to be true. If folks have any kind of a mental health questionnaire in the intake paperwork, do you have that, and does it save you time in your assessment session?
Yes, it does, because everything's taken care of. You don't have to. Now, we will have people who just decide not to do it, and we just tell them, it's in your best interest. If you want to spend time during the session filling out paperwork, you can do that, or we can spend time during the session actually doing what you came for. And most people would much rather spend their money doing what they came for, not the paperwork part. So it's so much easier. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I raised my hand now. I forgot what I was going to ask, so I'm sorry.
And as for the credit card bit, that is so much nicer, because once they're in, you don't even have to necessarily do it during the session, and if someone doesn't show and you have a no-show fee, that they've already, signed and committed to. You just run that, whatever that fee is going to be. And so it's much simpler, and you don't have to worry about receipts. They get an email like momentarily after you sent it. So they've got stuff for insurance and all that kind of thing. It's so much better. And then it gets recorded in your thing too. And then their individual ledger, you can see who's paid, who hasn't paid, the whole bit. And so like I said, for me, it's just been a lifesaver because I'm not detail oriented by nature, and I work really hard at it, but I'll never be, like Norma or most of you are at it. And so having something else that sets it up for me really makes it so much better.
As far as the credit card information, now we have Heartland right now, but the credit card information that's in the Heartland system, Chris was saying you can't transfer it to TheraNest because the full account number, credit card account number, is not in Heartland. So now, from what I understand, they can. Did you tell me that they can actually, the client can send in his or her credit card information too?
They enter it themselves, or they can do it at the session and you just type it in. And the first time through, you need that pass number on the back, that 3-digit number.
Yeah.
And once that's been entered in, you don't need any more information from them.
Also,
And
zip code probably is important. I don't know if that's the case with TheraNest for you, Kent.
is.
Okay, zip code. I keep forgetting to ask that, and it's awfully important.
But you've got that information already if they're using their residence. And
no, I don't.
With TheraNest, you would, because it's on their info sheet that they fill out.
Right. But as we're doing it right now, we're going to go ahead until Friday and submitting the standard intake form. Well, I just had an intake with a little gifted dude, and I asked for the credit card information, zip code, and all that. Moving forward, I see what you're saying, that's all going to be okay. Gotcha.
And you can also have more than one card in the system.
Yes.
So, and that's really helpful too, because we've had people who sometimes want to use their HSA. Other times the SSA is matched out. They want to use their credit card. They can do that. Or if they're, building up points for something else on a different card, they can use that card. They just tell you which one, you hit the button and it's done.
And you said the client can go on TheraNest or the admin person like Chris or Haley and send them a link to go on TheraNest to put in their credit card information themselves.
That's all part of it. Once they have their password and stuff to the portal, they can go in and make the payments online without you doing the click, if that's what you want to. I've had people who have lost their card or in between HSA cards, and then they just get on and pay it themselves. Or I have some people who pay a little bit at a time before their next session, and they can do it that way too. So.
Yeah, and since we don't have, since we can't migrate everybody over from Heartland, which, Dave, if I'm incorrect about that, please let me know, because it would be super if we could migrate everybody's credit cards over from Heartland, but I don't think we can. What I was thinking was, once we get theoretically everybody into the system, which was, having a deadline was important for that, then we would just invite everybody to the client portal and, have them fill out their credit card information and stuff there. And we might have to still have counselors occasionally get their credit card, or, a front desk person get their credit card for 1 or 2 sessions. But after that, we should be able to kind of roll on from there.
Yeah. Is that Dave? Are you there, Dave? Yes, he left for a bit. Okay. All righty. Anyone have any other questions? I have, but Dave is gone, but he has to approve this. As far as the mental health assessment being, part or being available and TheraNest. I know what you said a while ago, Kent, that that 5 Point had their own kind of like mental health assessment or initial assessment and diagnostic impression. They had their own, and they added that to the list of assessments that you can choose from. And then TheraNest had their own initial assessment and diagnostic impression that's already on there. Okay, the short form, and yours was the long form, or the I think you said it came from Cincinnati.
Yeah, two of the people at Thrive Point were professors there and designed a lot of the stuff as training. And at first, they were only hiring people from CCU, so it was a very natural transition to make it. So they had a built-in crew already that already did things the way they wanted them to be done. And so
we can start using the initial assessment and diagnostic impression that TheraNest offers.
you can do that.
Yeah, Dave would have to approve that. But
Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about with Dave just a few minutes ago, that I wanted him to look at the forms because they are different than the ones we've been using. And he was saying he wanted to, I'm going to send him the forms we're sending out right now via email. And then he'll take a look at the ones that are on TheraNest, and we might need to do some editing and tweaking on those, because I just don't feel comfortable sending out the TheraNest default ones until we're all agreeing that we're happy with them.
Okay, so that was the one you were including. Okay.
And for me, the shorter form was vital in my staying even close to catching up with all the new clients and stuff. Since everything has to be entered in, it was nice for me to be able to do it in a shorter form than all the other stuff, because I'm not sitting there with my computer in my lap while, I'm doing it, because I couldn't do that anyway. I'm a hunt and peck typer or keyboarder, so it wouldn't be any good, but it's so much easier. And again, I don't have to do it from the space I'm counseling in. I can go home and take care of it. Yeah, you got hand?
May I ask of everyone, I think it's bad form to have your laptop out taking notes during a session. Do any of you agree with me?
No, I wasn't planning on doing that.
I see some hands.
I just take a notepad
I do too.
if I want to make notes. But and I don't think it's a good idea to have the laptop out when you're with a client. I have a hard enough time just taking notes without them feeling that I'm not paying attention to them. But I just wanted to say that when you do the first progress note of a client, that's where you do the mental health assessment. It has all of the questions in it, the same things that are on our form. The only difference is some of the demographic information, like highest level of education and that type of stuff. But otherwise it has, I think, when I looked at it, I think it has everything else but that. So, and that's when you go in and do the first progress note for the client after your first session. Your first session.
With each note that is still there, both whatever fancy words you used, plus suicidality, homicidality, it's all there each time for you to click and look at. So you can always tell and make the adjustments you want to make too, because you can either use the drop down menu that comes up, or you can just click all within normal limits, or you can add your own comments if you'd like to.
Dave, are you there?
I am, yes. I had to take a quick restroom break.
Oh, nice to have you back.
Oh, thanks.
It's an age thing.
What did I miss?
Very nice. Jamie.
Can I ask a question, or can I make a statement here before we get Jamie on the phone, please?
Okay.
A lot of my clients are put off by the religion, spirituality question. I think if this was truly a Christian counseling center, that would be an appropriate question, but I'm finding a lot of people, particularly young people, are very put off by that. It's information that can unfold as we get to know the client, but I don't even ask anymore.
I've never found that, Dan.
Okay,
I
well,
personally have never found that to be.
do you work with children and teenagers though?
Well, some, yeah.
Okay.
Some say I don't believe in God, and you know
Okay.
they can tell me that.
I get that it's important information. It's just, I've had some reactions from people. I would be offended by the question myself if it was asked.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to agree with you, Dan. I've had the same thing happen to me.
Yes. Now, if
I
we
do
were
too.
Kenosis Christian Counseling, that would be a different thing. But I know Kenosis has a religious connotation, but it's tacit, it's not overt. And so when those questions are asked, I've had some reactions from folks.
I have to admit that I kind of pay attention to my client and how they're talking. And sometimes I won't even ask the question based upon.
You pay attention to your clients?
I know it's really,
Therapist are you?
that's what happens when you go from being an intern to being a big girl therapist. You start paying attention. I found it really, it's surprising, but it really worked.
Are you still putting people to sleep?
Actually, I did on Monday. I put somebody to sleep when I did IPF with them.
Well, then perhaps it's more important to ask if someone has a history of somnambulance as opposed to the spirituality.
I don't know. Now let's get back to this question again.
God, I didn't mean to stir you up, Debbie.
Yeah, I'm interested in, because in trainings and in counseling, people, the whole spirituality, you don't have to say religion, but people need that spirituality in there. They need that peace. Or it's just,
No, they don't.
yeah, they do.
No, they
And
don't.
they have it in
Well,
their
it's a difference
house.
between, Debbie, it's a difference between you going to Liberty University and me going to the most liberal school on the planet. So that's probably where
Yeah,
that comes from.
but you have to admit, you are not just a neutral being. You have a spirituality piece.
I don't.
Okay. So
I'm a
that's-
nihilist.
So that's a spirituality piece.
No, well, okay, whatever. Semantics, whatever. Okay.
One thing that you can notice though, when you do the intake form, it's what we do is we just ask if people want it, and it's just a checkbox.
Perfectly.
And so you don't have
Acceptable.
to ask that question. They just answer yes, no, or whatever. And then there's a blank space. They can put in exactly what they do want and what they do believe.
That's perfect.
And so that's the way it gets handled. You have to if you don't want to, and so because I see people with faith and people without faith, at least the faith that I share. And so it's that way you just kind of get it out of the way first and you can go from there.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah,
Excuse me, Dan, can we, Jamie, I got her, Dave, if you don't mind, if we can have Jamie to talk.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, Jamie, how are you feeling, and what do you think about TheraNest?
I'd say I'm stressed and overwhelmed. It's the finals week of my semester, so with that and all. I would say TheraNest, I just got everything, like just the login and the clients done last night. I would say the first question I have, since that's all I've done, is appointments, trying to sync calendar from Gmail, that stuff. So I think Sean wanted to add something. Did you want to add something while we're unmuted?
I don't want to get off topic. Dan brought it up, and then I think Kent addressed it, because Dan, I actually get more weird looks when
Yes,
I ask
same
about
thing.
sexuality. And to me, that's kind of like, let that unfold, or if they have a box they can check or whatever, but it's just like, then I have to go through this explanation, and it's 2020 and they're getting more complicated anyway. Some of the answers I get, and it's like,
I never
yeah.
ask. I'm like Joanne, there's certain things I never ask, and I don't care if it's blank on the intake form. I just don't ask about sexuality.
Yeah, so yeah, if they have a form they can fill out themselves and they want to check the box, that's perfect, I think.
Now,
Maybe
Jamie,
make it, go ahead, Norma.
Jamie, do you have a question about TheraNest? Is that?
Yeah, I said just like with appointments, like trying to sync Gmail to TheraNest, like how to do that, you know?
I have no idea about that. We use Microsoft Outlook, and
Ooh.
I've never had any reason to have to do those things. With the TheraNest app you can keep on your phone, you can do almost everything that you would do, except some of the paperwork that'd be hard to do on the phone, but appointments, there's an agenda piece that comes up. You can see who's coming up next. You can click on payments and invoicing and notes. It's really a nice package the way it just, it's not completely seamless, like nothing in this world is perfect, but I've really enjoyed it. But I wouldn't know how to do the syncing between the Google stuff and any Office suite of whatever kind with TheraNest. I haven't found the need to. One thing I do though, and I might differ a little bit with you guys, I use a tablet to write my notes on now, so that an electronic tablet, and so that takes my handwriting, puts it into text. That way I can start to cut and paste stuff. I know, isn't that something? And so I do have something electronic in my lap, but I don't have the computer set up there. It's just,
You are a therapist among therapists, my friend. That is a great idea.
I try. Anibo is a great app for either Windows or Android or iPad stuff. If you want to use that, it's what I found is the best so far.
How do you spell it?
Nebo or Nebu. Let me look real quickly. I'll tell you.
Does it correct spelling, by the way, Kent, as you're typing in?
It can, yes, it can, as you're actually writing it.
Yay.
Yes. And it can take my handwriting and make sense out of it. So if it can do that, I think for any of you, it really is amazing.
You use an Android tablet?
What's that?
Do you use an Android tablet or an iPad?
When I'm using my computer, it's a 2-in-1, it folds. So I'm actually using a Windows stuff, but you can do it with Android or with iPads too, because I do have it on one of my Androids as well.
What I find cool about that is it's no different than taking notes in a chart. So it's not as off-putting as having that darn screen flopped in front of you and the client. And there's all this, surreptitious, what in the hell are they typing in for my session?
Or if they're playing solitaire or whatever else, surfing the web.
For me, it's texting my girlfriend. So that's what I do.
And it's spelled Nebo.
Let me check one more time. Let me zip it up real quick. Nebo, Nebo.
Should be Nito, because that's really cool.
Can you put it in a chat?
Sure, I can do that. Why don't I just, yeah, I'll do that. Nebo. Because I've looked long and hard for stuff, because that's the weakest part of my game, is the whole paperwork and reading what I wrote when I was talking with someone. That's so much easier for me to do it that way. I just, I wish they would have had this when I was going to school many years ago. I would have done much better. And I did okay, but I would have been really good if if the teachers could have ever read what I wrote. I would have done a lot better, I think. So.
Kent, is there a free version of it, or is it the $10 one?
Depending on which one you're on, you can get a trial for a while and check it out. Yes, Dan.
Let us not forget, as private contractors, we can write all this crap off too. So if you're spending $10 a month, you might get $5 back.
It's not $10 a month. It's $10 for the app.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, that's.
I'm cheap.
So am I. That's why but you can write it off. You can write books that you purchase. You can write those off. You can write off a lot of things. You can't write off your dog. I tried that. That doesn't work, even though it's a therapy dog.
Well, mine's a therapy dog too, sort of.
I know.
Chris, do you want to walk Jamie through setting up an appointment for a client?
Yeah, I can. Jamie, if you just want to pop in the office after we're done, I'll be more than happy to talk you through it.
I only have a half hour. It's at like 2:30 to 3. So if you're available, then that would be great because I have a client like right after this.
Yeah, I can do that. That's fine.
Well, interesting conversations about TheraNest, about spirituality, about religion. Fascinating as we work with folks in the mind, body, and spirit. Other questions or pieces that you're confused about with TheraNest?
I'm confused about it all, Dave, but it'll get there. It'll get there.
It takes older people longer, Dave. So
Yeah,
it'll take her a while.
yeah.
Older people.
That's yeah, I'm older, Norma. I go with that. It works.
Okay.
When I'm gonna be having a slumber party in my house for a week with all my kids coming in, and it's just like, oh my God.
You're gonna test COVID, aren't you, with their Thanksgiving plans?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
They're trying to warn folks off that, so it's interesting.
It's interesting, Dave. The whole crap is interesting. But we won't have more than 25 there. So
Haley? We haven't heard, Dave, we haven't heard from Haley.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
trying to see if she's on here. There she is.
Yeah, I'm here. I've just been quiet.
Haley, talk a
Can you
little bit
hear me?
about your experience with TheraNest. You've been doing a lot of work in there in this week.
Yeah. I like it. It's just like it takes a second to get used to it. But I know Sean and I well, Sean did it and I watched him like charge a card through TheraNest last night. So that was good to see. I don't really have a lot to say about it. Like I just keep clicking buttons and going around and seeing what I can figure out. One thing like I will say to be careful with is especially for us like people that are also working in the front office, if we're putting an intake on there for somebody else, like it's not our client, when you add the person, make sure to go to the assign staff tab and assign the correct person. Because sometimes it's not like one of my clients, Chris and I were both on it, but it was my client. Like it was just weird. And then there was one that was supposed to be a Norma client, but had like my name on it. So it like we have to really be careful on who we're assigning the thing. Because if you're logged in on your account but assigning it for somebody else, it'll automatically put them as your person. So
And
just to be careful
Yeah,
with
what we
that.
have to do is, since Norma right now is my supervisor, we're both on it. So I'm
Yeah.
on it and then Norma is also on it, and that gives her access to look at it. So that with the way we do it, Norma has to sign off on all of my progress notes and all of my intakes before they're completely signed. So she signs it, then I can sign it, and then it gets saved that way. So
Yeah, that's another good point. Dave, are we supposed to be signing our progress notes? Dave?
Yeah.
Crickets, crickets.
There's a way to do it. I know that. 'Cause I
Yeah,
Well-
it's really easy to do it. It's just the down caret on the save button.
mhm.
But I don't know, there's a message that pops up that says that notes don't have to be signed, but that's internal from TheraNest. So I'm just wondering what Kenosis whole point is on it, or what their
Yeah.
point of view is.
What we're going to do eventually is have the notes needing to be signed for folks who are interns, and then other folks who are in clinical supervision, to be able to have their notes signed as well. It's a a nice way to track hours for your certifications and licenses. And so I have not set that up yet.
Well, actually, we can do it, Dave. If we do if you click on the save button, the down caret on the save button, there it comes up with two options. I can't remember exactly what they are, but one of them is to e-sign.
Mhm.
Are we supposed to be doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
And it works it out too, where it gives you a nice little neat, signature that you can put in, or you can use your own, or it makes someone up for you, and you just click it and it's done.
I'm just going to start signing as Norma then, if that's okay. Is that all right, Norma?
Same here. Same here.
Wait a minute. Now, Dave, you mentioned the interns, the site supervisor of the intern, they should also sign the progress notes, and the other documents, the initial assessment and the treatment plan.
Yes.
You're going to set that up. That's not been set up yet. That is what you're saying.
Yes, I'm going to make myself a note here to do that.
Okay, so right now I don't have access to Sean's notes or Jamie's. Okay. Or I can sign them. Yeah. I was going to ask about that. I'm glad whoever brought that up did.
Yeah, I'll look into that today.
Okay.
I have to head out in just a minute, but if there's any other way I can help you guys, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email address down there before I leave, so you guys can get me that way.
Ken, it's great to see you, man.
Good.
And I hope things are going well there for you. Yeah, it sounds like they are. And
Yeah, it's been a fun time.
awesome.
I want to have lunch, Kent, your treat,
Okay.
because it would be a treat for you. I'd like that.
Okay.
right.
Well, you
Fair
can email me. I think that looks like it's right. If
Is
not,
that
it's
Kent at goblankyourself.com? Is that your new email address?
It could be, but it's kpatterson@thrivepoint.com.
Ah, very good.
k.patterson@thrivepoint.com. And that's the email I'm on most of the time. Have a great Thanksgiving. Remember that this whole 2020 is actually worth it because the Dodgers won the series. And so everything that just shows, everything is going to be okay.
And
I
IU
forgot
and
that you were a
Northwestern are
Dodgers
at the
fan.
top of the Big Ten. Is this
Isn't that
apocalyptic?
something? Isn't that something?
It's
This may be
apocalyptic.
good.
Are you kidding me?
Okay. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Kent.
I can't.
Anything else, folks, that we need to discuss about TheraNest? And I'll look at a flow sheet, Dan. Chris and I will put our heads together and come up with a flow sheet for of course, for the front office, but then where the therapist can pick up from there and kind of flow through the process. So that's a good idea.
So any new client will continue to use the old intake form and until you get one that you approve. Because you
Yeah,
said
by next, we'll have that done by next Friday. I'm gonna pull Christine into that, and I'll look at the forms too. Chris may have some ideas, and any ideas from you folks, just email me. Any items that you feel like that we don't have on our current intake form that you feel like we need to have.
okay, I've got one. Yep. Okay.
Dave, I sent you an email just a few minutes ago with our current intake forms that we send out. So you have those now. So we can start comparing those to what's in TheraNest.
All right. Thanks, Chris. All right, we can continue. We'll have some different things going for next week's supervision, but feel free to text or email me questions, places where you might get stuck once you get into TheraNest. I've been in there all week and watching tutorial videos and learning about the system. Chris may also have some answers for you, but don't hesitate to go ahead, Dan.
No, please finish your thought. I just want to add.
Oh,
something?
I'm just learning as fast as I can and trying to answer the questions as they come up. But it's been a pretty, it's been a little bumpy in the transition, but overall, I think it's going well.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, in the next coming 2 or 3 weeks, I'd like to give a presentation, please, with your permission, Norma's permission. It's on humility. Don't laugh, but it's really, that's exactly what I want to give a presentation on, is humility.
How about next Thursday from 12 to 1?
That'd be when I'm eating Thanksgiving turkey, Dave.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Can you tell I'm absent-minded? I don't track time well. Okay, how about the Thursday after that?
Sounds great.
All right, Dan.
It'll be brief. It'll probably be 20 or 30 minutes, but it's based on a couple of experiences I've had recently with gifted individuals, and it was rather epiphanous for me, and I thought maybe it would generalize to meeting and our clients where they're at with every session.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
All right, folks, I'm going to cut you loose early today. Norma, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, not at this time.
Okay, we'll see you all next week.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.